straight away. Hold on a second. Let's share. Let's at least do a post. There we go. At least let me do a post rather than going instantly live. Anyway, technology. And it looks like it's feeling like it might rain, which is highly annoying. But anyway, we shall but soldier on. Anyway, yesterday was an absolutely fantastic day, and this morning it's now completely overclouded. Sarah Davis, good morning to you. Colin, good morning to you. Craig, morning to you. Like I say, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hit the like, hit the share button. Let everyone know we're live. It does feel like it might be about to rain any moment, so we might have to take cover under the bridge maybe for a while. I don't know. It depends when it's going to start raining. Thomas Madden, good morning to you. Happy Easter. Yes, it's the start of the Easter weekend. Although mine started yesterday. It's always the case when you get a sort of a bank holiday on a Friday, or Good Friday as it is today. No one wants to do anything on a Thursday. It's just practically pointless. It's just like, we might as well just have Thursday off as well. Juggle, good morning to you. From Estonia. So, yes, good morning and hello to you from Estonia. Never been to Estonia, but somewhere I want to go. Definitely in the future. You might enjoy last night's Canadian election leadership debate. Oh, really? I'll have to look into that, Colin. I will definitely have to have a look into that. That sounds interesting, because I keep on looking into like this Canadian election stuff, and it's wild. Absolutely wild. JC Holland, good morning from the Netherlands. Good morning to you. Yvonne, good morning to you. Like I say, good morning, everyone. Hopefully the cows will let me pass. It's always slightly annoying. And you've got that standing in front of you and you're like... But yeah, we'll have to see what happens. As it does feel, it keeps on feeling like it might about to absolutely open and like silo down any moment, which is incredibly annoying. So if you can see, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but the clouds, yeah, it looks like it is just about to like open up. So I am in that position of, do I risk going through the open field now, getting absolutely soaked, or do I wait a bit? Oh. Cows are fighting for breakfast. Mike, good morning to you. Not good news. The states say they will walk away from ceasefire talks in Ukraine and move on to other things. Oh, I haven't heard that, but oh, wow, yeah, doesn't surprise me. Yeah, I mean, I keep on saying this, but the Europeans need to like go into a state of where they are like, we need to prepare for what happens, but I can't believe that Trump is doing this, and I can't believe that other like Republicans are just gonna allow him to sort of get away with that. I really, really can't believe that they're just gonna allow him to get away and just. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll talk more about that later on. Quite frankly, because yeah. I need to look into it more, because I'm sure Trump is probably complaining about some sort of minerals deal. Normally is probably what the source of all this is, that they won't sign away the mineral deals for like, you know, forever, essentially. Sarah, sorry to hear about that. Yeah, I know, but it's one of those things. I think, honestly, Sarah, I think we might look back in this, and like I say, I'm looking for, like, you know, the hope in all this. I think we might look back on this as the moment they, or at least the turfs, really went too far. Because I've been looking for like the reaction from normal people, and a lot of, like, you know, normies that aren't in this debate can't really understand why it's happened. And I think now you're probably going to see a lot of support for like a passing of like a bill to now sort of, you know, more protect trans people. I really think that is the case, and I think you're going to see that momentum now start to build for that. I think it's inevitable on that one. So that's like my hopium on that, but that's what I'm sort of seeing on that. I know obviously for a lot of people, you know, like yourselves, you know, it has probably been a very, very bad week, and, you know, I think we can all understand that. But I'm looking at the hopium of that, where I really do think the turfs have massively overplayed their hand, and I don't think this victory will last, shall we say, quote, I say victory in quotation marks, will last too long for them. Thomas, I think Trump might not... hang on. I think Trump might not resign when his term of office is up, and we'll try and get a third term somehow. Yeah, well, that's a constitutional crisis waiting to happen. That is a constitutional crisis waiting to happen, I can tell you that now. In fact, a lot of people really are serious about the fact that what do you do if Trump does something unconstitutional? I think that's going to happen sooner or later. There is just a, you know, constitutional crisis creeping up on America, and it's inevitable at some point that will happen. And I keep on telling people that America right now is not going down the same road as Germany did in the 1930s. It's more going down the road of Japan that they went down in, certainly like the 20s and 30s themselves. So go watch the extra history episode that they did on that series about Japan. I think it's very, very good, very, very interesting, because you learn about all the fact that, you know, it was the Japanese institutions that could have stopped all this, could have done something about this, and the institutions failed apart on that. And that, I think, is what we will probably see. Can the American institutions generally hold Trump back? Can they do it? Can they be the bulwark against Trump? Can they actually hold him back? Anyway, it's still a bit rainy, and these guys are now staring at me. So we'll see. Wait a minute. The UK does have a constitution. I I don't know if you realise that, Griff. We do have a constitution. In fact, if you Google it, UK constitution, you'll find it pretty easily. Think he's waiting. Think he's waiting for stuff. Shall I climb over? And shall I not? Or shall we go that way? Tell you what. We'll go this way. We'll go this way. Why not? We'll go this way instead. There's a bit more cover this way. Just in case. And we've also got options. In case it does rain. So, we'll find out. But, off on an adventure. Whoops, Daisy. Nearly tripping over. Oh. But yeah, I can obviously see a lot of people talking about, obviously, the decision of our Supreme Court in chat. You have to excuse me, because it's always very difficult to do two things. Walk and read the chat at the same time. But yeah, I really think that the Tariffs in this have overplayed their hand. Massively so. Oh no. Oh no, I haven't. I thought for a second I'd split my welly. And I was like, oh no! No, I haven't. Good. Good. Oh. Pony. There we go. So it is one of those sort of, I think, situations where I think we'll look back at this in a couple of years, and I think we'll probably realise that that was the moment they overplayed their hand. Yeah, Starmer will be forced. Yeah, I think he will be. Because this whole debate isn't over. You know, it's not over. I mean, if you saw a lot of the, debates, like on LBC and Channel 4 about this, you can generally see, like, the people are like, happy that this bill passed, generally, like, expressing genuine hatred towards these people. And it's so strange. So strange that people just hate people like that so much. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. Just, let them get on with their lives. You get on with yours. We'll all be far happier for it. I just don't understand it. There's a lot more better time could be spent rather than just hating people, But anyway, that's just me. Oh. Am I a royalist? To be honest, I really don't care about the royal family. I'm one of those people who, yeah, there's stuff about the royal family I don't like. There's stuff that they do. I think they should, be paying their taxes, for example. But at the same time, I also really don't care enough to get rid of them. You know, I think there's a lot more stuff in our, in our government that I would rather want to change, rather than just, up and get rid of the royal family. But I think there's a lot more pressing fights, like PR, like proportional representation. I would love to change, for example, our voting system to proportional representation, but I'm really starting to think, and as long-time viewers will know, I've talked about this so many times, that in reality, I think we shouldn't be really going after the voting system at the moment. We should be going after the House of Lords and going after House of Lords reform. Really going after that instead. That's what I think. That's my sort of focus. I think getting that changed, because there's a heck of a lot of support. For getting the House of Lords sorted out, and I think getting it changed into a house of representatives, I think would be far better. Than it is at the moment. I think it would be much better. PR could cause chaos. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. Other countries have PR systems and it doesn't cause chaos. Not only that, if you want to sort of describe chaos, please describe to me the type of stuff we've seen, in our democracy since 2016. And that was under a first past the post system. So Richard says Lords press reform would be great. Yes, I think press reform, that's something else we should be really pushing for, but I think the momentum's gone out of that. It's not that, again, it isn't important. I don't think it's something that we should, we obviously should focus on. But remember, all the stuff for press reform came out after the phone hacking, I can't even say it now, the phone hacking scandal. So obviously we got Leveson 1. And unfortunately, at the time, obviously Conservatives, that was the big problem. Because it was the Conservatives, after that, they said, hey, look, there should be, Leveson 2. And, we should be passing like a more stringent, press regulator. Never happened. Never ever happened. I think because now we're so far away from like the phone hacking scandal, a lot of the anger in many ways has gone out of it. It's getting really the public to care about passing press reform and about doing that. But it's also getting, MPs to understand the importance of press reform as well. But, I do want it. Don't make any mistake, do want it. PR would obviously be very difficult to sell to the general public who barely understand the system as it is. Very true. Very, very true indeed. You ask people, we saw it after the general election, and people are like, oh my God, Labour only won, this loveless landslide. And, so much percent of the vote. And you're like, my friends, percentage vote is how you do not win our general election. When I was talking with No Justice that time, and she's like, oh, well, you've got to get, X amount of votes. It's like, no, you don't. It's not percentage. It's not X amount of votes. It's all about the number of seats you win. You've got to think every single general election, you are fighting like 360 individual election battles right across the country. And it's how many of those you win, and those seats that you win determine your victory. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Yeah, PR is sellable under vote for you actually want, not who can actually be who you least like. Very true. Very true, Craig. And like I say, I think, getting PR would be good for the UK. It's something I want to see. But you see, a lot of people don't actually, they end up campaigning for a PR change, which is really strange. But there you go. Patrick, good morning to you. The voting slip would be too confusing. Well, if we up in Yorkshire can have dual single transferable voting for Sheffield South Yorkshire Mayor, I think we'll be fine. I think rest of the country will understand it. If we Yorkshire folk can understand STVS, then I think rest of the country can too. Oh. I don't think it's the case, because that, Tom, is one of the big arguments that, parties don't want it. So I think you do. And the big thing here is we've got to start getting MPs into Parliament that do care, that do want to change the system, because that's the tipping point. And you are seeing a lot more MPs really start to go, actually, changing the voting system might not be a bad idea. Purely because if you look at turnout, and if you want a classic example of just how bad turnout is getting, look at these local elections coming up. Because I can guarantee you now, the average turnout for these local elections will probably be around like 25%. Which means that many of these local elections, you could win your councillor seats on just a few hundred votes. 100 votes, that's it. You've get it. Congratulations, you're a councillor. Does not take a lot to win a council seat. Nope. And that's you. Oh. Well, that's new. Solar panels. Oh, anyway, let's have a walk back here. PR gives the nutty parties a chance. Again, technically, any party has a chance under any system. It's just then you do see other parties in Europe work to keep these crazies out, Not only that, very, very often, you do see a lot, and I mean a lot of these parties, once they get anywhere near power, that's when they start to get some serious media attention. And that's when people go, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be putting these people in power. Always remember about the fact that if you've seen a lot of videos of when people have gone to Clacton and they've talked about Nigel Farage and they talked about his voting record, especially the one that was done by, I can't remember which union it was, but they did one about, oh yeah, do you know Farage has voted against workers' rights? And all these people who were suddenly pro-Nigel were like, what? Nigel would never do that. Shock, horror, not my Nigel. But they're like, no, he did. Here's the paper. Here's the stuff that proves it, what he did. Trust me, if ever the worst should happen and Nigel Farage rides into power the next election, his wildest fantasies come true, he would fall to pieces. He and his government would fall to pieces instantly. You've only got to look at America, where a lot of those MAGA voters are now realizing the consequences of some of the stuff that Trump is doing. And they're constantly finding out about even more of the stuff that Trump is doing, and they're not liking it. They're not liking it one bit, and they're like, oh, why on earth did we elect this guy? Why on earth did we elect this guy? What's going on? And I'll tell you now, yeah, there'll be riots. Oh, exactly. If he even dares try change the NHS from being free at the point of use to anything else, oh boy, will there be riots. Oh boy, will there be riots. And the thing is, any other party could just come back in and just be like, right, our policy is now NHS free at the point of use. You want to see an instant landslide victory? That'll be one. Because certainly we in the UK do not realise just how expensive American healthcare cost is. And remember, it's always, the fascinating stat, well, I say fascinating, but shocking stat, shall I say, more like it. If people suddenly get a £400 unexpected bill, that is bankrupting a lot of families. And yet you look at medical care costs, it runs into the tens, if not hundreds of thousands. And that's even with insurance. How long do you think the British public are gonna put up with that when they start to realise that? Yeah, exactly so. There's a lot of people that have that in America as well, because if someone calls an ambulance for you, they're charging you for that ambulance ride. They're charging you for that ambulance ride. And of course, I think if you really want to understand the American healthcare system, watch the Michael Moore documentary, Sicko. Because there's two other films I would definitely recommend you watching about the American car industry. The American car industry, Michael Moore did one called Roger and Me. And he did it in like the early 90s, I think it was, maybe late 80s. And you get to see sort of like how places like Detroit and Michigan have just absolutely gone to the wall because of like how things have gone with like GM and General Motors. That's it, 89. And then he did another one, like a sequel to it, called Roger and Me Again. And I think he did that in like, I want to say like the early 2000s. And you sort of get to see, and if you watch those two films back to back, you really get to see like the fall of the American car industry. And it all comes down to greed, like really reckless and stupid decisions. It's unbelievable. Oh, good morning. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, everyone else joining us. Good morning in chat. Like I say, don't forget to hit the like and share button. If you are new, hit the subscribe button as well. But yeah, unbelievable films. And I'm going to try and reach out to Michael Moore. It's a 1 in a million shot. It really is a 1 in a million shot. But I would absolutely love to speak to Michael Moore about like the American car industry and just like what he saw going through all this, and like those two films in particular, because it is a fascinating series, like two films if you watch them back to back. Honestly, like if you've got a free moment or a free couple of hours this Easter break, definitely worth a watch. Definitely worth a watch. I think you can watch, I'm not 100% sure, but I think you can watch the first one for free from his website. At least I think you can still. I can't remember if you can or can't at the moment. Anyway. Richard, you're off for your morning walk as well. Good. Like I say, I'm a big advocate. Like I say, go on a morning walk. 10 minutes a day, seriously, does you the world of good. Nice bit of exercise, and like I say, you're out here in the world. Wonderful bit of morning on that. Eleanor, full titles of the films, please. Well, the first one is called Roger and Me. It's by Michael Moore. And then the second film he did, like the sort of the sequel, is called Roger and Me Again. I think, but if you go on Michael Moore's website, you can find them pretty easy and what they are. But like I say, go watch them. Go give them a watch. Really interesting take on like the fall of the American car industry and what happened to like those cities, especially Michigan, that used to rely on the car industry, for a primary source of all its jobs in that city. But yeah, there's a guy who I would love to speak to. Really love to speak to. Really love to speak to on that one. I think it'd be a very interesting conversation. And at some point, I've got to have a one-on-one chat with Aid as well at some point, because he got to speak. He got to be in the same room as Will Atkinson. My nemesis. I can't believe he got to speak to Will Atkinson. There's someone going through a midlife Tory crisis, who I would love to speak to. I mean, if you saw the video where Aid was on LBC, you can see Will is like, he's adopting all these like Borisisms. He's got the hair, he's got the hand movements like that all going on. And then he's even adopted like the voice and like the speaking persona. Like, what? What is going on? But yeah, bizarre. So bizarre when that comes to it. So bizarre. But yeah, there is someone who I would love to have a chat with. Oh. But I will be going out this afternoon for a cheeky drink. Get my weekend started properly. So, looking forward to that later on. And like I said, we'll see what happens with the Trump stuff. But yeah, that's something else I'm going to look into, because someone said it at the start, apparently. Like, Trump's about to sort of walk away, which, oh, go on. If he is, then yeah. That'll be really bad, let's face it. That'll be really bad if that ends up happening. So, we're off to the Dunkirk Inn. Yes, I do know it. Been there a few times. Very nice pub. Very nice pub indeed. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about like the consequences of Ukraine. I don't know how many times on this channel, but it seems to me that Trump is just going to hand Putin what he wants. And if he does that, that's where we get into serious problems, because that's where we get the consequences. You're likely to get a further war, potentially, in Europe, in the Baltics, potentially. Which is, again, scary thought. But I think, honestly, one of the big things I think that's driving Trump is, if you've ever read any of, like, where people have done, like, profiles on him, he's terrified, absolutely terrified of nuclear war. And I think that's what's driving him. That he has this fear of, like, nuclear war. And that's what's driving this whole thing for him. This whole thing. That's why he doesn't want to go to war. Will he let me through? Morning. Stood on that. Come on. Come by. Never mind. I'm just going to go this way. Just gonna go by. There we go. Sneak on by the cows. I'll be fine. There we go. Pony hiding in the corner there. But yeah, it's it's worrying. It is super, super worrying on this. I mean, the consequences, honestly, are just terrifying. Yeah, just what Putin likes to hear from the States. Poland next? Oh, well, maybe not Poland next, but maybe eventually. I mean, you know, so think about it this way. You are Vladimir Putin. You've got right now a massive army mobilized. Why are you not going to use it? Like, why are you not going to use it, and where are you going to use it next? So I think the very next target he is going to go after is Georgia. I think that's the next target. The other thing we have to watch out for is what on earth does, you know, this peace deal look like? You know, what on earth does this, you know, quote unquote peace deal actually look like? That in itself is going to be something to take a look at. What does the ceasefire look like as well? Does the ceasefire last? I don't think it does. Because what Putin really wants is he wants to put freeze on this war. He wants to get the sanctions lifted, and he wants to sort of rebuild his military. And then he'll restart this war again. And the Ukrainians have been saying this time and time and time again. We do not want to have to fight this war again in 5, 8, 10 years' time. Do not want to have this fight this war again. They've been saying that since the very beginning. For them and Ukraine, this war has been going on since 2014. You know, since the invasion of Crimea. So they are fully understanding of, like, you know, what's been going on for the past couple of years. You know. But it's one of those things where you see all, like, the Russian propaganda about what that has, like, been pushed by, and the consequences of that as well. But eventually, I think the only thing we're going to have to come down to is, I think we're going to have to end up fighting Russia. I know that's a lot of people are like, oh no, but it honestly feels that the only thing Putin understands is force, and I think that's what we're looking at. And I think, seriously, as I've said before, if all of Europe got together and went, no, not only to, like, the idea of what the US was going to push, but anything that Putin might do, if they all turn around and just go, yeah, that's an absolutely dumb idea, we're not going to stand for that, that might have a lot of impact. And I think if you showed, like, Europe seriously was very willing, like, very willing to, like, say, we are prepared to fight for, you know, Ukraine's sovereignty, for its independence, then I think Putin would certainly think again. Because I'll tell you now, Ukraine has destroyed Putin's army. And there's a lot of, if you look at all the military experts and things like that, ooh, a new one, if you look in the distance, that's new. New tiny pony. New tiny pony off in the distance. So, yeah, I think there has to be a willingness to say, no, I think Europe has to really come together and say, no, if America is not going to be the ones to do it, then we have to do this one up by ourselves, and we have to sort this out as well. And I think there has to be a united European response. And it's kind of funny where, if you saw the JD Vance interview we did, where we looked at that interview we did with Unheard about how much he wants, Europe should be, free and should be able to stand up to the United States. That moment looks like it's about to become. That moment looks like it's about to happen. I wonder what JD Vance's response to that is going to be, especially when we say, no, Ukraine, you shouldn't sign that mineral deal. That is dumb. Instead, you should do it with us instead. And, oh, look, here's a lot fairer option. But that does need to be, I think, once again, Europe needs to get together and be like, no, this is our line in the sand. We've seen an entire history, even recent history, of what happens if you appease people like Putin, because people have said it time and time again. Putin is not going to stop at just a little bit of Ukraine. Because already remember, he's taken far more of Ukraine than he even initially set out to claim at the start of this war. So, we are looking at a possibility of war. And I've said that for a while, that if this goes bad, we shouldn't be, we should be prepared for that possibility of war. I know it worries a lot of people. It worries me when you say that, but what's the old classic saying? That, war is a failure of diplomacy. You're witnessing that right now. Failure of diplomacy leading to a larger conflict. So, very worrying indeed when it comes to stuff like that. No, we've got a bit of a visitor. He's not interested. Not interested. So, yes, we are at the end of time today, but thank you very much for joining me on today's Good Morning Walk. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Bakura, yeah, you've landed right at the end of it today, unfortunately. But no, thank you very much, everyone, for joining me today. Hit the like and share button on your way out. And yes, we'll see you all next time. So have a good weekend, or have a good Easter weekend, everyone. Have fun. And as always, if you can't be safe, be sensible. So, as always, we'll see you all next time.